what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
No, it's not. It's
Gets
gross.
the people going.
Well, Hector, here's the game plan. You're gonna bring us 2 absolute martinis. You know how I like them, straight up. And then precisely 7½ minutes after that, you're gonna bring us 2 more. Then 2 more after that every 5 minutes until one of us passes the fuck out.
You got a bad attitude and you don't listen.
Oh, yes. There will be blood.
It is not the violence that sets a man apart. All right, it is the distance that he is prepared to go.
Ever notice how you come across somebody once in a while that you shouldn't have fucked with? That's me.
What the fuck else would you do this job? Cocaine and hookers, my friend.
Welcome to the Max Ordinate podcast. What's up?
Almost done with my burrito.
Dude, you had a whole 10 minutes before I hit that button to eat that burrito.
I'm eating as fast as I can. It was not 10 minutes.
You just like to slow play putting round, long objects in your mouth.
Again, another round.
It's all good, man. I got
My personal favorite.
I got pre-workout here, and the hardest part about this is like this pre-workout's kind of like my coffee, and I would wake up, get dressed, stretch, take pre-workout, and then go work out, like go for a run, do whatever it is. But now, you know, with this TRT prescription and the talking to the doctor, she's like, Tyler, don't take the thyroid meds and shit like that with your pre-workout. She's like, I need you to have a gap in there. I'm like, a gap? What do you mean a gap? Because this is like my functioning blood. I need this to survive. And she doesn't understand. So I have to wake up, give my injection, take my pills, and wait an hour just to have the only thing I look forward to every day.
Why are you doing it in the morning?
Because that's what she told me to do.
All right. Well,
Why did you go to Mexico to get your back worked on?
because that's what the internet told me to do.
See, we all have somebody we listen to. It's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah. So I am off of I'm off of any of my peptides. Because the peptides are anti-inflammatory, I can't take anything anti-inflammatory for like 3 months. So I'm off all of my nerve pain meds, gabapentin. I'm off of no ibuprofen, no NSAIDs, no peptides. So this week's been kind of a fucking roller coaster, but I get like
You
these.
say that, but what people don't realize who don't know you personally is that your life is a natural roller coaster all by itself.
Absolutely.
You're good. You're just like living normal.
This is where I'm at. So It's crazy, right? So the stem cells that were direct injected into either my so I guess this is the quick update, where they're injected into my elbow, low back, neck, and hand are just working. They're doing their thing. But the IV stem cells that are running through me are just going through and finding shit.
Yeah.
So what's happening is like, my elbow is starting like to feel pretty good, and it's had enough time to grow cells and the everything that needs to like be repaired. The inflammation is going down. Cool. Except for it's also finding other shit. So now this part of my elbows feels great, but I couldn't sleep last night because my inside of my elbow is just a disaster. I have a random forearm pain my right ankle feels like it's broken. It's just every couple days I get another pain that's like, oh, this hurts, let's fix it. It's just finding shit to fix. So overall, I can feel the progression of the localized spots getting better. They're still sore. It's going to take 3 months to heal.
Yeah.
But what's I didn't expect was all these random fucking pains in these random spots that are like injuries from 20 years ago that the stem cells are like, oh, here's something that's probably not good. Let's inflame it and fix it. And then I'm just fucking torqued for 2 days on it. So it's really interesting. There's a lot of that I didn't really expect. They said was going to happen, but I was like, I'm built different. I'll be fine. No, I'm going to be fucked for like another 85 days.
So you're not built different.
No, I'm pretty much just like every other old man that went and got treatments.
Good to know. Good to know.
So, but yeah, things are good. Yeah, the only thing I'm on, other than, TRT is the only thing that I'm still getting my levels. My blood checked out. So this is good. My blood is phenomenal. All my general health check with, when I went down there, they did a real extensive blood work. All my liver, all my, whatever my markers are, anything in my blood that they would test, it's like 5 or 6 pages. All my levels are solid. So, prostate cancer, cholesterol, just everything they would look at for my organ health are good. So that made me feel good. That means whatever I'm doing, keep doing it.
So your prostate cancer is at the exact level it should be?
Yeah, I have the exact amount of prostate cancer I'm supposed to have.
So it's interesting. I told you I did the TRT and I went through the whole process to get it done right and get everything tested. And I got my lab results back, which I was actually surprised because I got the prescription before I got my lab results for my blood work. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. It's American medical system. Like, pay us money, we'll give you a prescription. Got it. All right, cool. Yeah. So I get my labs and, you have a range of like 300 to 1,000 for your testosterone levels. And I'm at like 400. Yeah. And, I'm looking at all these numbers and like my DHEA is down, my free test is down. You know what? The one thing that was extremely perfect was that goddamn prostate chemical that they test for to see if you got cancer or what. I'm like, winning.
Give me all the testosterone.
I'm winning because my ass is good right now. Right. So
yeah. And I'm surprised. Honestly, I'm surprised. Well, I guess I'm not surprised, but that checks out with where your levels were at. Mine were, before I started treatments, around like 430 ish. That's like kind of where I've hovered, 430 to 470. I sit now at around 910, which is right where I should be for me. So that's interesting. But you're doing daily subcutaneous, right? You're not doing it in the muscle.
Yeah, no, it's subcutaneous. It goes, she said I could do it in the thigh or I could do it in the shoulder. Well, with the thigh, I mean, with the growth hormone injections, I just pinch a piece of skin and stick it in and right. So same thing with the testosterone. Yeah. But have you ever tried to pinch your shoulder and stick the needle in at the same time? I don't know how the fuck people are doing it in the shoulder.
No, it's stupid. I do just on my hip, just below my love handle. I grab a little fat part there. Well, for my peptide, I don't do them now, but that's where I've always done it.
I just be in the thigh, man. I just find me a meaty portion and yep, it'll be over soon. There's some sticks though. There's some sticks where I'm like, fuck, that's a nerve. Fuck.
So same, right? So I've always just figured I have super sensitive skin for all like the Norcos and Vicodins and all the pain meds I've taken for so many years. And so I'll give myself shots. It's no big deal. Every day it's like whatever. And then I'll just hit one. I'm like, holy fuck, what was that?
Yeah.
Like, it hurts like hell. And then I'm nervous for like a week.
Yep. I've been there, man. So
I'm noticing you're not in your normal podcasting zone.
I'm not in my normal podcasting zone. This is my work locker, right? I've got my friend Tanner right there. We actually We made a target out of his face because
Okay.
that's what friends do, right? And then that book up there, I was gifted. Oh, there it is. There. I was gifted that book because of my stellar attitude coming into the office on certain days. It's a Grumpy Monkey book. And then I got my normal stuff, my Leupold boxes and sniper instructor badge and all that crap. But so I'm not at my normal spot because the entire island that I'm on right now has 0 power. So there's a typhoon coming, and I did actually download some photos that I kind of took off of the Windy app. I don't know if you've used the Windy app, Jeph. It's a pretty cool app to just kind of look at an area and say which is, obviously hills and terrain and shit like that are going to dictate how the wind flows. But if you want a general direction of what the wind is doing to help you with a wind call, you can download the Windy app. It's free. And you can look at how the wind is moving. And it's pretty fucking accurate. So here is my screen. Can you see that?
I can.
All
Wow.
right. So that is what's coming today, right? And what ended up happening here is I wish I could like figure out how to draw on this thing. Can you see my arrow?
I can.
All right. So this is the island, right? And what happened was this little booger right here, this typhoon, it came from down here and it passed us on the southern end. We still got a huge amount of backlash from this thing the past 3 days. Now it came over here, it knocked boots with China really quick, and now it's coming back. It like made a fucking U-turn and it's coming back. So this is basically this will be what it's like today at 4 p.m. And then here is what it'll be like on Monday at 6 a.m. So by 6 a.m., the typhoon should have passed us, and we'll just be dealing with like 30-mile-an-hour winds at that point. So we got to get through the weekend, right? And that is the challenging part. Is one, I'm not afraid. Maybe I should be. I don't know, but I'm not afraid of the actual typhoon. It's just like you're limited on options here, right? So like right now I live in an Airbnb. I'm up on a hill, and I think my height above sea level is 25 meters, right? So I'm a little bit out of the tsunami zone, but I'll show a video here really quick. But I was down at the ocean, basically every day that the typhoon was coming at us. Now I live on the west coast of the little island, so the east coast was getting the majority of the hit, right? And we're pretty protected on the west side because the typhoon's coming from the east. Now it's going to go over, it's going to hit China, and it's going to turn around and come back, and now it's going to hit the west coast directly. So I want to give you a good distance here. How does 150 meters sound from the ocean? Like, I don't live that far from the beach, right? I could literally walk out my house, walk 100 meters down the road, and I'm at the beach now. So, every day during the storm, I go out. Mainly, I just want to get out of the house. Like, there's no power, there's no electricity. My washer, I have a washer, no dryer, right? But I have a washer, and it is outside the house.
Oh,
the
nice.
storm blew the lid open, and it filled with water. That's how much rain and just everything that this place has gotten, dude. The washer is full to the top, overflowing with water.
Nice.
So, it'll be interesting to see how the typhoon from the west affects us. I mean, just going down to the beach, like I come down the stairs, I'm on the beach, and at 1 minute there is low tide, and it's the lowest I've ever seen the tide at this beach. I'm like, holy shit, is this a signal for a tsunami? Because they say like before a tsunami strikes, you're going to see the water pull out, right? No tsunami coming. It's just the typhoon out there sucking all the water out. So it's the lowest I've ever seen the tide. And then another time I'm down on the beach, And these waves are coming in. And then just out of nowhere, like I'm at the base of the stairs and I just get hit by this rogue wave. And I'm like, fuck, like you got to go to the beach with a safety jacket and a rope to pull your ass back in, dude. Water splashing up onto the road and shit. So it should be pretty interesting. And, we'll see how we get through it. I've been trying to take videos every day and just kind of like document my
I was trying to find
here.
You had sent me some pictures. I was trying to find the pictures that you had sent.
Oh, I got them right here. So check this out. These are where do they go? So this guy right here, let me see. Can I share this? Yeah. All right. So this was basically the aftermath of. This is the only picture I put up on the share screen. I don't have the ones that I sent you where the cars are getting flipped over and pushed around into like there was a parking lot.
Why would they keep their scooter in a tree though? That doesn't make sense.
There's no parking. So that was the only place that there was a no parking sign. But
holy shit.
Some of the other photos I sent you where like there's this parking lot that's enclosed with concrete walls. And the cars inside the concrete walls are just getting blown around. Like one car got flipped upside down, other cars are getting pushed. It was like bumper cars without people having the actual bumper car fun, right? So, yeah, it's just from what I read, it was the equivalent of a Category 4 hurricane. I don't really know the difference. Like I was gonna look it up and see what the difference is between a typhoon and a hurricane. Not really sure. So I can't even comment. Do you know? You know off the top of your head?
Hurricane and typhoon?
Yeah. Like it's one spin one direction, the other spin.
No, it's geographics. So it's literally just called a typhoon on that part of the hemisphere, and it's a hurricane out here.
That is stupid.
Yeah, that's the only difference. I think there may be a distinction. No, there's not. I believe it's hurricane, typhoon, and cyclone. I think those are the three that are all the same. I could be wrong. I'm not a fucking weatherman, but I know that hurricane and typhoon are the same.
Here's what it says. Let me turn the share screen off here. So, Jeph, where'd you go?
I'm right here.
All right. If it's above the North Atlantic, Central North Pacific, or Eastern North Pacific Oceans, Florida, Caribbean Islands, Texas, Hawaii, etc., we call it a hurricane. If it hovers over the Northwest Pacific Ocean, usually East Asia, we call it a typhoon. That's literally the difference.
Yep, that's it.
That's lame. That's some lame shit.
We all got to have our own thing.
One spun counterclockwise, the other spun clockwise. Like
so, I guess it's the same as you have mountain lions, you have pumas, you have cougars, and they're all the same. In Florida, you have panthers. It's the same thing though. So they're all a mountain lion. Just depends on where they live.
I feel like some biologists would argue with you, but that's neither here nor there. I agree with you. I'm with you.
Mountain lion, cougar.
I didn't get to take a video or a picture or anything like that, but typhoon's happening and it kind of passed us by on the south side. And we got this, like the way that the island is shaped, it kind of goes diagonal, right? And on the west side, there is a little point, right? It's called Cape Zampa, and there's a lighthouse over there, and they got a park with really nice, like, asphalt, concrete, pavement, just going all throughout this park. And it's really smooth. So I decided to take my skateboard over there and see about skateboarding in the typhoon. And what I found out, Jeph, is that one, it was a lot of fun. I got really wet. But if you're on the skateboard and you take your shirt off and you just hold it up, I mean, that's your first lesson in sailing right there. I mean, I've learned so much about how airflow works. I was getting at least 25 miles an hour before I pussied out and had to jump off the skateboard. So it was a good time. It was a good time.
That sounds like a party.
But I did find, let me see here. We get to couple videos to show you of what I saw while this this fancy Typhoon was happening here. Let me see. Where is it? I found a photo of the ultimate LARPer.
Oh, is
Yeah.
it one of the ones you sent me, or is it a different one?
Uh-oh.
Oh, good for him. That boy's carrying more shit than I could lift. So good for him.
He's got it all, dude. He's
That's a
got
big
it
boy.
all. But do you have to be that big to carry that much stuff?
Yeah, so it's a rule. You're not allowed to carry anything that's physically has more total volume than you. So
I
I'm
see.
only allowed to carry so much stuff. It's I didn't make the rules. It's the rules.
All right, so here is what it looked like during, like, kind of like the middle of the Typhoon. Went down to the beach, and like, I'm trying to wipe the water off the camera, but you could just see the wind rolling across the ocean. The waves aren't that big. Now, that changed, but remember, the Typhoon was directly south of the island, so you're not getting a lot of like these ginormous waves on the west side. That changed, obviously, once the Typhoon moved to the west side of the island. Then you were getting these massive waves that were coming in, and you're just like, holy shit, right? So
It's like all the wind without the whatever, like the storm surge or whatever.
yeah,
All that
but
ocean shit is.
now you're getting all that surge. Like, I went swimming yesterday, and I mean, people will be like, oh, you're fucking crazy. Like, why would you go swim? If there's surfers out there, it can't be that fucking bad, right? I mean, if there's 30 people out there surfing, they all can't be crazy. So, I mean,
Debatable, but
I mean,
I'll give that one to you.
Sure. So like, I have a rule, and the rule is don't go into the ocean without my fins. So I
Good
went
rule.
down to the ocean, had my fins, got in. Like, I was basically body surfing and having a good time. Like, I wasn't getting sucked out. I wasn't getting thrashed around. Like, it was a good time. Like, now, will I do that tomorrow when the Typhoon is like making landfall? I don't know. I'll let you know. We'll take a video,
I mean, if you tie off, and worst case scenario, you just got to tow yourself back to the shore.
I thought about wearing my climbing harness in the water and just attaching directly to my body. So I'm completely attached. And if something were to happen, at least I'm recoverable.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
So anyways, that is the update out here, man. That's why I'm at the office right now, recording with you instead of at the normal podcast location. And, a couple more days with no power. We'll see how it goes. I've been living off of ramen, jet boil.
A little gas stove and jet boil and
yeah, and
making noodles.
That's it, dude. Noodles and rice crackers. Those are, I don't know if I'll ever want another rice cracker again, but
So at least you get, so I guess it makes sense for you guys as instructors, your class, your team. You guys are obviously not working because you're just hunkered down. Does that affect your class schedule?
So right now we're supposed to be this week. We're supposed to be going through some of the classes and like doing murder boards and making sure all the class material, everything is squared away. Like, that's what we're supposed to be doing this week. So are we missing out on anything? Not really. Last week, we were able to go to the range and test out that new target and kind of put some rounds down range and make sure that everything was kosher. There was a pistol and carbine range course that we were conducting that had to get canceled. But outside of that, I mean, ultimately, it's not affecting anything other than our ability to work through the classes and make sure everything's ready to go and stuff like that. But we'll just have to pick it up later. So it's not a big deal. I mean, I did want to talk about that Qual. I posted it up on the Patreon account talking about the modified qualification. And then I also, we discussed it a little bit last week, but dude, that qualification was so much fun. One, there was 5 of us out there, right?
Mhm.
I grabbed myself and a few of the other guys who were sniper qualified Marines, and we're basically sharing a range with the pistol carbine folks. And the max distance that we had was 50 meters. Okay, that's fine. Like
All
the
right.
Qual is designed so that you can shrink it to scale and still execute the Qual no matter where you are, right? To make sure that you're proficient and that you can execute the basic responsibilities of a sniper, right? In terms of marksmanship. So lay down 50% scaled targets, and dude, it was the most fun I've had at the range in a long time, where it's just us out there working through this qualification, competing against each other, and having a good time with it. Like, what more could you ask for when you go to the range and you're just like, all I need is a box of 20 rounds.
Yeah.
And I can execute this drill, have a good time with it. And at the end, it's like, who's got bragging rights? Who fucked this up? Like, like there was no egos on the range that day. It was just a good fucking time.
So which Qual did you do? Did you do the, what is it? The because there's 2 versions. There's which would be the military / law enforcement, and the civilian version.
So I'm gonna pull it up for you right now. And let's see here. All right. So this is the Qual I was talking about. So here it is. That is the target right there. Like, it's got a 4-inch, like if this was at 100 meters, it would be a 4-inch outer box and a 3x2 triangle over the eyes and nose. And it did have, like, I posted this up on social media, and somebody asked me, why did you put the triangle over the nose and eyes and not in the what did he call it? I forget what he called it. Something about the brain box or something.
So this is a question actually I was going to bring up, and let me just ask the question first, because I had told you I wanted to ask you something. And one of the questions my old sniper leader brought up was, hey, there's a very, very small amount of proper targets that show snipers, specifically law enforcement guys, where to aim, right? It's always a head, it's always a face, but specifically the cranial vault.
There you go. Cranial vault.
And the cranial vault is the go-to that it's not on a lot of targets, right? So one of the questions he asked was like, look, I love that S-Mod Qual. He's like, it's cool. He's the one that me and you talked about where we were like, hey, exactly this, where let's do a proficiency drill, right? But one of the questions he had was, why didn't Tyler just make the cranial vault bigger instead of just a box?
So let's start with that, right? Let's look at like the anatomy of the head, right? If you like, you can see my arrow, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So this area up here is where most people assume that you would want to engage, which is fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that. If you shoot somebody up here, the chances are you're probably engaging them and you're going to hit them in the head and they're going to drop, right? But there's also a small possibility that they don't.
Yep.
That bullet could skirt around the skull. It could hit a part of the brain that still allows them to function for a certain amount of time, right? If you impact up here, right, you may not achieve that immediate instant incapacitation, right? Which
Correct.
is what we're going for. If you're shooting somebody in the face, it is probably because you need an instant drop, right? You need them to drop like a sack of potatoes. So if we were to turn this head sideways, you would notice that if you aim for up here, right? If I'm aiming up here, if I turn sideways, where is that exit point, Jeph?
If you turned it sideways?
Yep. Draw a straight line from the center of my forehead here to the back of my head.
Okay.
What do you got?
I mean, it's pretty high up on the head.
It's pretty high up on the head, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Now, if you look at where the nose is, right, and this is where people don't think, right, but if you look at the nose, standing here sideways, draw a straight line back, where does it go? It goes to where the brainstem meets the
Correct.
brain, right?
And that's part of that cranial vault.
Okay. So this is just training to a higher standard and starting to realize that where you want that bullet placement is actually more in the nose and less in the forehead, right? Now, it looks cool to have little stickers and patches and talk about like having bullet holes and shit like that in skulls, but ultimately it looks less cool. But that immediate instant incapacitation happens when you engage between the eyes and the nose and you're able to disconnect the brainstem from the brain. So that's how the target was developed ultimately, right?
Correct.
The 4-inch box, that was to give us basically a passable standard, whether you're shooting a 5.56 gas gun or you're shooting a 7.62 sniper rifle or whatever you're shooting, right? Whatever it is, like I was shooting an M110 SAS, which is a 1.5-minute gun, shooting 308. 95% of my shots were inside that triangle. I was still capable of keeping my shots inside that immediate incapacitation box, right?
Yep.
But the 4-inch box is giving us that ability to shoot rifles that may not have that same accuracy, but you can still pass the qual, right? Because ultimately, we don't want the rifle to be the downfall of the shooter. So
Correct.
we take a target and we say, what is a legitimate target size, right? And if you look at the human head, is a 4-inch box, Jeph, outside of like a reasonable area to engage a suspect?
No, not at all.
No, right? So, I mean, you're not going to have the highest passing score if you shoot all outside in that big box, but you'll still pass, right? And that was the ultimate goal, is how can we ensure that as many weapons as possible are able to be captured inside this target. But yeah, you're not the only one to ask that question. Somebody else asked that same question, which is, why not the cranial vault? Why between the eyes and the nose? Did that answer your question?
It did. I think part of what, and I would get clarification on my end, but I think part of that was why not just make the triangle, right, which is really the appropriate target. Yeah. Why not just increase that in size?
You still got to have a level of difficulty with the ultimate qual, right? So if the immediate incapacitation spot is between the eyes and the nose, and we want to keep that area, it still has to be challenging. Not everybody.
I guess what I meant was we still have the normal triangle. Yeah. But then also, instead of a box, we just have a larger triangle on the outside, because that would still keep it within the confines of not on the cheekbones and still sort of in the right area. I guess I think that's the question is how can we go from the proper shape target to a box instead of going inverted pyramid to larger inverted, instead of having two of those instead of just one. You know what I mean?
Basically, it just came down to having a target box that would fit a minute of angle size that would allow maybe you have a designated marksman rifle that shoots 2 MOA, but then paired with, green tip military ammo, now it's a 4 MOA rifle. Well, if that's the case, like if we make that outer box the same shape as the inner box, then are we really shooting a true 4 MOA?
Agreed.
That was kind of where I went with it. But,
that makes sense. Well, and if it's a true 4-inch box, we know it's measurable, and it's not like, is it a 4-inch box? Is it not a 4-inch box? Yeah. So that makes sense.
And so, when you print it, like, again, we were at 50 meters. So when we printed it, we put print at 50%. And boom, we had the scale that we needed. There was no math needed to be done. Everything shrank down, and it was a good time. So, like, a couple of the drills, you know, the first drill in terms of the military side of the house is just a grouping exercise, right? So when I did the math, Jeph, I'm writing these numbers out, and I'm like, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, right? And we're getting almost completed with the drill, the first group of guys. And one of the guys like, hey, Tyler, how many more drills do we have? I'm like, 2. He's like, I don't have any more ammo. I'm like, what the fuck you been doing with your ammo? He's like, nothing, man. I've been doing everything you said. I'm like, bullshit. And then I start counting. I'm like, okay, it's not your fault. It's my fault.
I fucked up.
We are 6 rounds over. So let me fix this. So that, you know, and that's why you got to go to the range and you got to test this stuff, right? Because I mean, everything looks good on paper until you actually go and you do it, right? So the first drill is just a grouping drill, right? So lay down in the prone. You have 5 minutes to just build the best position you can, check your natural point of aim, get your breathing, like do everything you want, right? This is your time to show that you can basically engage accurately under a no stress environment. 2 shots. And then we move into what's called a command drill. Now this will be 2 shots. And this is where, Jeph, I shot really well. Like I felt really good about every shot that I took. I had a couple shots that went in places I'm like, that didn't, like, that's not where it broke, but that's where it hit. Like, whatever, I'll take it. But the command drill, right? My final score was an 88. And that's because I'm laying behind the rifle. And one of my buddies comes up to me. He's like, Tyler, you ready? And I got my magazine in. I'm aimed at the target. I'm ready to go, dude. And he's like, are you ready? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. He's like, all right, Tyler, I have control. I have control. I have control. Stand by. Now, as soon as he says stand by, flip off safe. Now I'm ready. Fingers on the trigger. I'm like, okay. He starts counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2. Now that's when I'm supposed to fire.
Bang.
So I have my finger on the trigger and I'm pressing and no bang is happening, right? And then I hear a 1 and I'm like, what the fuck? So I like tap and I look at it. I never sent the bolt forward. So there's 2 misses right off the bat. I couldn't get my gun up in time to execute before the drill was over. So that's 2 shots I didn't take right off the bat. I'm down 10 points. Like, killing me, dude, killing me. So the rest of the drills, they were good. I think I had 1 shot that went out, or sorry, 2 shots that went outside the triangular box, which that's just -1 point, right? It's not a big deal. So ultimately, if I would have done everything correctly, I could have walked away with a 98, but I didn't. So I walked away with an 88. And, you know, the guys here are now allowed to brag that they beat me.
Yeah.
Till we execute this again. I'm not happy about this, but it is what it is, man. So after that, you've got drill number 3, which is so drill number 3 is shoot 2 rounds, you know, and you have 15 seconds. So you're in the prone, you're looking at the target, you're ready. The threat target comes, bang, bang. Strong side, right hand, right shoulder, right eye, or whatever your strong side is, right? And then you're going to reset, and now you're going to be on your non-dominant side. And you're going to shoot in 30 seconds, 2 shots. And then drill 4 is move into the gas mask, right? And that was not bad. We did make some tweaks to it. Originally, I had them starting in position, and then we tried it out. And now you have your rifle stage, you got your gas mask on, and you're facing away from the target. So now you have 20 seconds, you get the call, you turn around, get behind the rifle, take 2 shots. And then everything else after that is up on the tripod, like magazine drills, standing, kneeling, seated position. The deployment drill, that's where Claiborne kind of got fucked up a little bit, is I called the drill, 60 seconds, ready, go. He starts busting out the tripod. He gets everything set up. He puts his tripod up and, you know, he's rifle on tripod and it's too tall. So now he's got to take everything down and readjust his tripod, and he just ran out of time. And that's right there. That's 10 points. You know, he didn't get those shots off. That's -10 right there. So Ultimately, out of the 5 shooters, 4 of us all passed with either high 80s or mid 90s.
Okay.
And we had the one guy who just didn't make it. Now, to his defense, this was a spur of the moment. Let's go to the range and fucking try this target out. And he did not bring scope tools for that specific scope. And it was last mounted on a SAS. So it was shooting 4 mils high. So he had to hold low 4 mils the entire drill, which I could see how that could fuck you up a little bit. So I give him a pass. I think he needs to run it again. Also, he needs to get faster on that deployment drill. But that's kind of what you're looking for, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It shouldn't be 100% passing. There should be a margin of failure where somebody has to do better, right? So we didn't want it to be so easy that everybody just gets a free pass. Like, hey, you're a fucking sniper today. Like, good job.
Yeah, and we talked about that. Like, if everybody passes it the first go around, it needs to be changed because it's too easy.
Exactly. I'm trying to plug my shit in here because I think it's about to die on me. Nope, we're good. We have power now.
Okay, good.
Dude. So anyways, dude, I'm really excited for this drill, especially after we ran it and we're able to go through the motions and you know, iron everything out. Everybody here enjoys it. It was a good time. People on, you know, social media, Instagram had messaged, said, hey, you know, would you mind if we ran this target? Because we haven't posted it online. It's not available to the public right now. We did put it out to our Patreon members for them to try it out and give us any feedback. We also put the civilian version on Patreon, but we haven't put it on the website. So a few people messaged in, said, hey, can we try this target? I'd love to run our department through it. And I sent it to them. So hopefully we'll get to see some results pretty soon and, you know, go from there. But ultimately, man, I don't know if I would change anything else. Like, you have 20 rounds to get through this drill. What if you were going to add anything or take something away, right? Remember, all 20 rounds are accounted for right now. If you're going to add anything, something has to go away or something has to be reduced, right? Like, at one point, remember I told you we went over the round count on the first drill. So at one point we had 3 rounds standing, 30 seconds from the tripod. And then 3 rounds kneeling, 25 seconds from the tripod. And then 3 rounds seated, 20 seconds from the tripod. Now I cut all of those down. And initially I went with 1 round. I was like, we're going to go 1 round standing, 1 round kneeling. And we shrunk all the time limits. But then it was like, oh, I feel like we should have more of a grouping drill for those areas for the tripod than just 1 shot each. So then I had to look at like, okay, where can I take ammo from? So I took 1 round from our 3-round prone fire and put that in tripod. And I took 2 rounds from our magazine reload and put that in the tripod. Now your magazine reload is only shoot 1, load, shoot 1, right? So, I mean, it's a give and a take, but if you were going to add or subtract anything, what would Jeph change?
I don't know. I like that it's 20 rounds. So if I was going to add or subtract something, you know, you already pulled away. I would eliminate the prone grouping only because I think there's enough of that, right? So I would leave just 1. I would adjust the timeline. I would leave 1 prone and,
so for prone drills, I think you have 3, right? You have the slow fire, which is 2 shots. Then you have the command drill, which we still wanted to keep the command drill, which can be changed for law enforcement, right? I don't know if you would necessarily have a command drill on the law enforcement side. And for military, like that is an application used on a raid. So let's say there's a raid force, they're about to enter a building, and you've got snipers, you got explosive ordnance disposal, you got all these different people involved in this one raid. So the countdown is happening so that on each number, something different, right? On 4, the sniper's blowing the window. On 2, the sniper's shooting. On 1, the fucking door is being blown. On execute, the fucking raid team is entering the building, right? You have all of these steps. So for law enforcement, you could probably change that drill, but that is a prone drill. And then you have gas mask, and you also have the dominant and non-dominant side. So there's 4 prone drills. So you would take one of those away?
So do you have how many rounds is in the command drill?
2.
So that's always been a staple drill, but for me it's always been a 1 round.
Mm-hmm.
So each sniper is responsible for one of those commands, especially if it's breach the window and then take the shot. Well, those are 2 different ammos, so we would train with bonded, and then the other guy would have his regular ammunition, but it's always been a 1-shot drill for us.
Yeah.
So if anything, I'd probably take that down to a 1 and then find somewhere to put that other one, which would honestly, I would say would probably be the least trained position, or maybe not the least trained, but would be the most difficult. So I would take 1 from the command drill, and I would do 1 standing offhand tripod.
You would add to the tripod?
So we have standing support side tripod.
Yep.
I would just
so you would do on the weak side.
Yeah, on the weak side, standing tripod.
Oh, okay.
That's a position that I've found myself in several times that no one ever trains.
Interesting.
In just a hunting application, not necessarily a law enforcement application, but
Yeah.
I think it has relevance.
That might be something to try. That would probably fuck a lot of people up.
It's tough. It is a hard. I don't know anybody who trains that position.
I mean, it's challenging. It's challenging to shoot weak side to begin with, let alone just off of a tripod, like a lot of weird things happen. What you see is people are like, I don't know what to do with my hands, like it's a good time.
And I would say weak side barricade is more relevant, but in lieu of a barricade, you just use your tripod.
Yeah. And, initially when we were coming up with this qual for military, I had said, I want barricade in here because barricade shooting, you can practice and execute a few other fundamentals that you can't from a tripod.
Correct.
And the reply that I was given made sense. What if they don't have a barricade? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And they're like, well, we want to be able to execute this off the back of a ship if the Marines are on deployment. I was like, fuck, that's a good fucking idea. This needs to be executable anywhere. So when you look at the civilian version of this, it does include barricade, and it has time limits and shit like that associated with it. So yeah, I mean, I agree. I think looking at maybe having different versions, and different skill sets are tested, maybe there is a, version 1, version 2, version 3, whatever it is, but you have different drills associated with those that test different skill sets. And then you can really identify where your weaknesses are and how to improve going from there. Right. So I was going to take this target and record a video until my power went out, talking about if you have this target and you're engaging it, and let's say you're just doing, whether it's the civilian version or the military version, whatever it is, you're shooting. And let's say you have a 1 minute of angle gun, right? So you're looking at the target and now giving yourself 1 MOA room to play with. Okay. Left, right, up, down. Because you got to be realistic, right? I mean, if every shot is not in the exact same spot, but you don't have a gun that's capable of doing that.
Exactly.
What are you critiquing?
Yeah.
So being realistic about your expectations, but you have impacts to the left, impacts to the right, over a 3 or 4 inch fucking area. And then you've got a couple that are high or a couple that are low. Those are indicators. And that's something that I wanted to bring up in our next episode, maybe a Patreon only fucking episode, where we're talking about how to analyze your shot groups so that you can legitimately ask yourself, like, what's happening here? Like, if you got left and right movement or left and right shot impacts, you got impacts over here, impacts over there, like it's all over the place, left and right, chances are your natural point of aim is extremely fucked up and you're fighting it, right? Now, if you got impacts that are high, impacts that are low, then you're dealing with a bone support problem. And I don't think people associate those two fundamentals with how your groups look downrange. I mean, you got recoil management and all those things, right? But in terms of stability, left and right is natural point of aim and up and down is bone support. It just
Always will be.
It's always that simple, right? And, so that'll definitely be another video that we do. I want to look at some of the targets that I have already done and some of the other guys' drills and kind of talk about where their errors were and go from there. But yeah, I mean, that's how you analyze your target, right? Not just being able to say, like, I shot at this target and all my shots were in the face, but actually looking at the group and saying, you know what, from that standing tripod position, I didn't have the natural point of aim that I should have. And that's why my groups are left and right and left and right.
Let me ask you another roundabout question. I don't know if it's something that you could test. I mean, I imagine you'd be able to, but one of the things that I do, and it's just a mental, it's part of my setup when I go to the range, is I never shoot the center of something. I shoot a specific location. So if I have a target, 99.99% of times, I pick a point, I pick a dot, I pick where the two eyeballs meet the inside, if it's the right eye or left, but I pick a point. Because what I do is I have a habit of, if I'm shooting between two eyeballs or if I'm shooting in center of a circle, now my aiming point is one MOA on top of my gun because So I wonder if there's a way to analyze based on, here's 3 shooters, here's 6 targets, and one of them's a dot and one of them is just a one MOA circle. You give them the same target and see if there's any data that lends to the size of the target or what they're aiming at changes their group size. Does that make sense what I'm saying? I
think yes, but I think also at the same time, like, it might be shooter dependent, right? Because I mean,
absolutely.
If we're just shooting circles at a piece of paper, I'm kind of in the same mindset as you, whereas, like, I want to be able to focus on something specific.
I give myself a Sharpie dot. I'll just go fucking put a dot on the target.
Okay. So if you got a 3 or 4 inch circle, right?
Oh, it's the worst.
And you're trying to aim for the center of it.
I know.
What could you do? Well, you could measure from top to bottom and see how long that target is in terms of mils, right? Or minutes.
Yeah.
So
I'll usually hold
minutes.
over. Yeah. I'll usually hold over or hold under using my reticle, right? Just to give myself a center. But it was more just a discussion point of, I wonder if that also works into some of the problems, because shooting the center of the target's not an issue. Shooting a group inside, that's not an issue. But if you're trying to quote unquote shoot for a group or do something that's measurable, objective, you need a small aiming point. Sometimes that fucking 3 inch circle doesn't work.
100%. I agree with you. And it is, I think there's plenty of examples out there where if you don't have a definitive aiming point, then you're not as precise as you could be if there was something there, right?
Yeah.
And if you notice, unlike our law enforcement qualification target, it's a 40 round target and there's 3 inch circles for tripod. There's 3 inch circles for this or for that, right? Like, there are certain shapes there that are meant to challenge you on that aspect. Can you be accurate even when you don't have something small to aim at? And, like, I don't know if people think that the law enforcement target's going to go away, but it's not. Like, no, it still has its place and we still use it as a training tool. We're just developing another target that allows you to reaffirm, right? We have a target that says you are a qualified law enforcement sniper. And then we have a target that now says every 6 months, you'll execute this target to make sure you are still a capable being, right? So, but yeah, I'm with you, dude. I think the targets without little dots to aim at can be a pain in the ass. And at the same time, you know, like think about it from a different perspective. Let's say you are I don't know. Can you find yourself, Jeph, like pick an object, like, okay, your Pelican case right there to your right, little Pelican box, your ear pro box. Yeah. So turn that thing, you know, well, you got stickers all over it, so that kind of fucks us. Okay. So now
Perfect.
you don't have a patch on there, but you can kind of look at that object, right, and generally point to where the center's at.
Yep.
Right. So I think the more that you train in practice, you also develop the ability to kind of look at something and instantly see if the crosshair is being broken up by that target evenly all the way around. Right. I mean, but no.
And I think that brings up the point of one of the questions, one of the problems that I've had and we've had with most training targets is they don't develop the repeatability of where to aim.
Yeah.
So you don't develop you don't get the sinus, the cranial vault. They're always just a circle on the forehead, right?
Yeah.
And so you start training some bad habits and building some training scars in these guys because they're so used to not knowing where to aim, where you know, part of the targets that you've always developed have had the other training aspect to where they're training you where to aim as a secondary training portion, I guess.
Well, that's one of the first targets that we ever came out with. I want to say 2013, 14 timeframe. We had that full size color anatomy target.
I have a sleeve of those.
Yeah. So we still have it. We still print it, but we have this anatomy target. And what it did is it captured all of the vital organs, right? So when you think about, like, it has the lungs on there, but in reality, like, the lungs are not a vital. It's hard to describe because they are vital. You need them to breathe, right? But if you shoot somebody in the lung and they're able to patch that lung and decompress that cavity, they're still alive, right? They can still fight. Whereas if, you know, you send a bullet through the liver, that person is dead. It may not be immediate, but they are dead because they no longer have a functioning liver, right?
Yeah.
If you shoot them in the heart, it's the same thing. Like, eventually that body is going to die because you've killed what pumps blood throughout the entire thing. So we have
there's
that anatomy. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's also a distinction between they're going to die versus it's a light switch, right?
Oh yeah.
So not all of those are light switches.
No, most of them are not.
And the only other one I've seen that is not really, I mean, it's not necessarily by definition a light switch, but the hip girdle, the pelvic girdle is that's for all intents and purposes a fucking light switch.
I mean, it is, because the amount of trauma and pain that person is going to be going.
There's no more fight. That fight is out of that person.
Yeah. I mean, unless they're just so tweaked out on some kind of really crazy drugs, I mean, they won't be able to walk anymore. But everything from, you know, the belly button up will still be able to function.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is such a painful area for a person to be hit. You know, and you think about everything that's involved in that region, not just the bones and the hips and all of that, right? But all of your main arteries pass through that section.
Yep.
You know, and then down through your legs. So yeah, it's extremely vital area. But one of our first targets was that anatomy target that showed you where these vital spots were in the body, so that I was actually, you might know this movie. It's a Jason Statham movie. It's what is it? Wrath of Man, where he's a gangster who runs a gang outfit who robs armored cars, right? So anyway, long story short, beginning of the movie, his son gets basically shot in the street at like point blank range. So now this dude is on like a war path, right? And his son gets shot in the lung, in the liver, in the heart, and like he gets these different bullet wounds, right? And that was the autopsy report. So at the end of the movie, he finds the guy who kills his son, and he's sitting there with a pistol, and he's like, "You owe me a liver." Bam, and he shoots homeboy in the liver. And then he's like, "You owe me a lung." Boom, he shoots homeboy in the lung, right? And it's like he's shooting all of these body parts. And it's like, think about not just the accuracy it would take to do that with a pistol one-handed, but the fact that you know where these body parts are, right? Like there's a reason that as a military sniper, we would have to understand what these vital regions are.
Yep.
So that you could shoot them, like, anyways, good times, man.
Very good times.
Outside of that, my friend, you got anything else? I know that this was a spur of the moment. Let's try and get an episode out before I get hit with a second typhoon.
Yeah, I just wanted to get one in, and I wanted to chat about that target again before we moved on and forgot about it. So no, I'm just glad you're not underwater yet, and today's going to get worse. Are you going to hang out at the base? You're going to go back home and hunker down?
So we're just doing some fortification around our little classroom and office area here to try and keep as much water out of the building as possible.
All right.
I came in yesterday, like I have no electricity. So my entire existence has been, if I want electrical power, it has to be from a battery bank. So,
you've been charging your phone in your car.
So during the typhoon, I'm like out there in the pouring ass rain, starting my car and like charging shit. So yesterday it kind of cooled off, and I came here and, I opened the classroom door, and it's just like 2 inches of water. Like the entire floor is just 2 inches of water. It's like shit. So came in, started charging all my battery banks up, but we're going to try and fortify this place a little bit more, keep more water out. We'll see how it goes. But
all right. Well, good luck to you. Don't work too hard. I'll be here just trying to recover. I'm still on light duty for another couple of weeks. So I'm trying to, I'm on light duty, but I'm literally I just demoed the door between my garage and my house, and I'm reinstalling a new one. But other than that, I'm on light duty.
Well, you need to like unlight duty yourself and go do that tripod video that you have promised to all of our listeners.
All right.
As we compare you and me side by side.
As soon as I can close my hand fully without pain, which means I can pick the rifle up, I will do that drill, or all even right. Extend it all the way. This finger still doesn't quite work. Getting close. I'm getting better.
Fair enough, man. Well,
all right, brother.
This will probably be our last time to get together until, probably 4 or 5 days until kind of things settle back into normal over here. So,
all right. Before I forget too, where are we at with some of these skateboards that we're going to kind of build and try to sell to help this range theft fund?
Yeah. So, I got a custom skateboard, and I enjoy playing around with it, and I just thought it'd be a cool idea to come out with a limited number of Max Ordinate branded skateboards. Whether you skateboard or you don't, it's still kind of a cool little piece just to have. So I was thinking for our 10-year anniversary, and also trying to recover from the massive range theft that we had, because we gotta start rebuilding, right? New power systems, solar, security, like trying to beef everything up while also replacing everything that was stolen. That shit costs money. Mm-hmm. So ultimately it's like, what can we come up with that, people will purchase that will help fund our rebuild? So one of the things is these 10-year anniversary skateboards. So I've got a few different designs. I was basically going to come out with a limited number of each one, maybe 5 skateboards. And that's where we're at right now. So
All right.
we'll get them put up on the website. If you're interested, you want to have a keepsake or some type of memorabilia, like it'll be on there. I've got 4 different t-shirt designs that we're going to release, and same thing, try to get those t-shirts out. And all of these will just be to repair, like rebuild and get us back to not just where we were, but get us a level up from where we were. So already got the mover kind of situated and replacing the moving target systems, looking at the solar. I did not realize how fucking expensive solar power is.
Insane.
You start looking at it and you're like, okay, if I want a 12,000 kilowatt system, you're basically paying $1,000 per 1,000 kilowatts, right?
Yeah.
It's $1 a watt basically. And then the batteries, like with everything, I think it's the same as the solar system. Like if you go cheap, you're going to get what you pay for,
100%.
And, like it's not enough just to capture solar energy, but then you got to store it. And then, how much of those batteries going to push, and then how much can you store? And then, like learning about the whole solar stuff has been an interesting go. So yeah, I never thought the solar system would be that expensive. And I know that a lot of people are starting to run it, like you have it for your house, right?
Mm-hmm.
But doesn't it feed energy into the system? You're not actually running off of solar power. Like if you lost all electricity, could you use that solar system to power your setup?
So I could use the backup battery.
Okay.
But the solar is fed into the grid, and then we purchase it back from the grid. So I'm on net. So I got grandfathered in. So in California, I feed for one and they give me one, right? It's and then whatever I use over that is what it is, which I don't use any anymore. But here's the great part about California and Go Green is now you're being punished for going solar because Edison can't maintain the grid. So if you have solar now, as of the last like 3 months, now when you install solar, you're not on net metering. You go like, I give you 5, I get 1.
Yeah.
So now it actually costs you more to do solar than it does just to stay on the grid.
That's insane, man.
It's insane.
So we out at the range, we are not on the grid. So having this solar setup that we invest in and we try to get to where we want it is going to be everything that we need, right? Whether, the town that we're part of has electricity or not, we will have power. So, yeah. But, going back to what you said, the skateboards, the hats, the shirts, all the stuff that we're going to try and release here pretty fast is going to be to kind of assist with our range rebuild. If you haven't seen the new shirts that Howitzer came out for us, it's the second year shirts from Howitzer. You got a pretty cool, but a basic design. I really like it. But if you see our shirts on howitzerclothing.com or Howitzer Manufacturing, just know that every time you purchase a shirt from them, we get a kickback. And that has been a huge help for us, is every quarter they send us a check. And now that they've released this new shirt for us, we're able to take that money, every shirt that's purchased, and put it towards rebuilding the range. So if you like the Howitzer shirts, they're great quality, they're cool design. It kind of has that Howitzer design behind it. Head over to their website, pick up a shirt, and just know that you are helping us by purchasing one of those items. So, hey, buddy, I appreciate it. I got to get ready to start building up and fortifying this place.
All right, get out of here.
I will check you later. Everybody else, we appreciate you guys. Thanks for the support. Until next time, catch you later.